Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much for being here this evening. Please forgive me as people are joining. I am having to admit people into the meeting. So please forgive me if I take a moment to do that. Again, thank you so much for being here this evening, and I so appreciate your time. I'm glad everyone made it safe through the snowstorm, if you will. And I'm going to get started because I have quite a few things to share with you this evening. So this evening, I would like to take a moment to provide further insight relative to our current schedule. In addition to that, I would like to lay out for you the hybrid model of which is being proposed. In addition to that, I'm sorry, I'm admitting people as I speak. In addition to that, I'd like to lay forth the instructional model, which we will be moving forward with as well. In addition, I have some of my colleagues with me this evening. Mr. Cameron Cox is here, who is the Public Safety Coordinator, who will be here to answer any questions relative specifically to COVID-19 procedures and protocols for the district. And so I thank him for being here this evening with me. Thank you, Mr. Cox. And so I am going to get started. I want to thank those of you who have submitted questions in advance. Thank you so much. I appreciate that opportunity, and I will address those questions here this evening. At the end of our session, there will be an opportunity for questions, any additional questions or comments as well for me to hear. And so I appreciate that as well. So at the end, I'll ask that you click raise hand if you would like to ask an additional question or share a comment. So I will get started. All right. So again, welcome to the Hawthorne Families Town Hall. So I wanted to start by talking more specifically about marking period 2 and that schedule. And so I wanted to first lay forth the considerations which were made when creating marking period 2's schedule. So those considerations were as follows: honoring academic core time, providing social emotional learning and support for students, reducing screen time and allowing for breaks, demonstrating commitment to the whole child, ensuring that every class sees each specialist in the rotation, creating opportunities for small group sessions, and maintaining programs such as TAG, ESL, library, and LET/MET supports. Now, in terms of the process, with regards to creating the MP2 schedule, families were surveyed regarding screen time. A district committee met to determine a structure for the MP2 schedules. The committee determined that for elementary schools, the school day would entail live instruction of core content areas in the morning, specials in the afternoon, and an intervention period in the afternoon. After presenting this structure, I assembled a focus group of staff to review the various considerations, review the committee's proposed structure, and select a schedule. So what are the components of MP2 or the MP2 schedule? There are 40 minutes of core instruction, core academic instruction, reading, math, writing, etc. There is morning meeting time, which is dedicated to social emotional check-in with students and social emotional activities embedded into classroom instruction. And we know that academic support is important, but we know that social emotional support is equally important. And so we have that embedded into our schedule. There are rotating sessions of social emotional learning / literacy enrichment, which are led by our school counselor and our library media, specialists during mask time. There are flexible breaks based on the needs of students, and we also have after-school tutoring as well. Now, in terms of the components of the MP2 schedule, we have a rotation of synchronous and asynchronous learning for specials. The mask time was created, and that time was an opportunity for specials teachers to give guidance to students when they are learning asynchronously, because they have independent assignments during that time. As you know, I just mentioned that really supporting the whole child is important, and so art, music, Spanish, etc. are important. And we know that some of our babies look forward to those subjects and enjoy them, quite frankly. And so that said, when students are learning asynchronously, it's an opportunity for the mass period is an opportunity for the specialist to explain the assignments, answer any questions, things of that sort. And as I previously mentioned, it's also a time period for our library media specialists as well as our counselor to provide more social emotional support in addition to library services. Our specialist teachers are posting videos which are no more than 15 minutes on select days for asynchronous learning. And it's important to note that some specialist teachers are shared amongst elementary schools. Some more components of the MP2 schedule. All students are in a rotating small group session. Our ESL students receive services from our ESL teacher. During this period of time, students may be in small group sessions with a literacy enrichment teacher and/or math enrichment teacher in lieu of being in a session with their homeroom teacher. There are tagged seminar sessions, which are held during the math period or during the specials period on specified days. And I'll take that it's not the specials period, it's actually during the small group sessions period. The TAG teacher offers enrichment opportunities for students who are not in the TAG program as well. So there have been questions about Wednesdays. On Wednesdays, there's live instruction in the morning and an asynchronous lesson for your child's specials class in the afternoon. The only exception is that there's one live tag session on Wednesday afternoon, and I'll explain why in just one moment. There are no small group periods, or there is no small group period on Wednesday afternoons in general. Now, I will come back around to what I just mentioned, but I want to delve further into the proposed hybrid model. But before I do so, I'm going to exit because I want to ensure that I allow people to come in whom I need to admit. Okay. So in terms of the proposed hybrid model, Teaneck Public Schools has adopted a phase-in approach. So this phase-in approach will include a hybrid model, which means it will be part in-person learning and part remote learning. On January 11th, all kindergarten students will have the option to return to in-person learning for 2 days a week. On January 11th, all special education self-contained students will have the option to return to in-person learning 4 days a week. All other 1st through 4th grade students will remain virtual during this time. And on January 25th, all 1st through 4th grade students will have the option of returning to in-person learning for 2 days a week. In terms of the proposed hybrid model and the cohorts, there will be 2 cohorts, meaning groups of students for this model. Generally, students with a last name ending in A through K will be in Group A. Students with a last name ending in L through Z will be in Group B. Group A students will attend in person on Mondays and Tuesdays. Group B students will attend in person on Thursdays and Fridays. Wednesdays will be a virtual day for all students to allow for intensive cleaning of the school. Siblings will be grouped together. If siblings have different last names, the group will be based on the last name of the eldest sibling. In terms of the proposed hybrid schedule and registration, if you do not want your child to attend school in person, please complete the registration form, which was emailed on Monday, December 14th. A link to the form will be posted on Hawthorne's Google site, which can be found on our website. Additionally, I did not send out Thursday tidbits yet because I had intended to send them out after this meeting. So additionally, I will be sending out the link after this meeting. Please note that if you do not complete the registration form, your child or children will be automatically enrolled in the hybrid model to attend school on the designated days. So it's important to note that the default, if you do not fill out the form, will be that your child will be enrolled for in-person learning. Families who select the hybrid model and want to switch to all remote learning must send an email to that following email address, and I will share that information 3 school days in advance. Families who select remote learning must remain remote for the remainder of the third marking period. So that's January 25th through March 31st. Registration to opt for all remote learning will open on March 1st. So registration for the 4th marking period will open on March 1st, and notification will be sent by the district. So in terms of the hybrid schedule and what that will look like, this is the hybrid schedule. So I will walk through it. So on Mondays and Tuesdays, Group A will be immersed in in-school learning. Tuesdays and Fridays, Group B will be immersed in in-school learning. And on Wednesdays, as you can see in the middle, all students will be immersed in virtual learning. We will have periods 1, 2, there will be a break, period 3, there will be an enrichment or break, and then period 4. Now at 12:30, students will depart the building if they are learning in person. There will be lunch, and then in the afternoon, it will be as follows. In the afternoon from 1:40 to 2:20, kindergartners, first graders, and second graders will have specials, while third and fourth graders will have their small group sessions during that time. At 2:20 through 3 o'clock, it will be flipped. So third and fourth graders will have their specials, and kindergartners, first and second graders will have their small group sessions during that time. On Wednesdays, it will be asynchronous, as it is now, asynchronous specials, and there will be no small group instruction with one exception, which we'll talk about shortly. And all of this information will be posted on the Google site, so you'll be able to reference this information. Okay. Sorry about that, allowing people in. Okay. So in terms of the hybrid schedule and what that looks like, direct instruction will take place in the morning as much as possible, and breaks will be included. Students will be in person for half day, and students will be dismissed at 12:30 p.m. Lunch will be a grab and go. Wednesdays will be all virtual for everyone to allow for extensive cleaning. Afternoon small group intervention sessions, specials, and district tutoring will be virtual in the afternoon. TAG, ESL, LET, and MET services will continue under this model. So what will students need? Students will need to bring their devices and chargers to school on their designated in-person days. And if your child has headphones, please permit your child to bring them to school for in-person learning. In terms of safety protocols, parents and guardians will be asked to complete a daily check form for all students who are learning in person on their designated days. Students will not be permitted to attend class until the form is completed by a parent or guardian. And should a student demonstrate cold-like symptoms, the student will leave the classroom setting and await parent pickup in an alternate location in our school. In terms of other safety protocols, all classroom desks will have shields. Social distancing will be enforced. There will be reduced traveling throughout the building. Students must wear a face covering at all times. And there will be hand washing and hand sanitizing. And safety guidelines are posted throughout the school. This is a link to the district's cleaning protocol. And again, this is embedded in the PowerPoint, so you will be able to take a look at this. In addition to that, it is also posted on the district's frequently asked questions page. Students are encouraged, but not required, to take a COVID-19 test when returning to school. If in the event of an outbreak or cluster of COVID-19, the district may require such a test, but only after receiving advice from the Teaneck Township Health Department. In terms of safety protocols for the bus, give me one moment. I just want to make sure people they're trying to get in. Oops, let me go back here. In terms of safety protocols for the bus, during the first week of January, a letter regarding transportation will be mailed. To limit possible physical interaction among students, students will be required to board the school bus by filling the back rows first and then progressing forward. When leaving the bus, students should exit in the opposite order. Assigned seating for students will assist in ensuring that such practices are followed consistently. Siblings will sit together. Parents will complete daily temperature and health checks prior to boarding. Windows will be cracked open to provide additional ventilation. School buses and other vehicles used to transport students will be cleaned daily and disinfected between routes. Drivers will practice all safety actions and protocols as indicated for other staff. And there will be signs which are hung to reinforce social distancing and hygiene rules. In terms of SAC, the district currently plans to offer SAC, the After School Care Program, beginning Monday, February 1st, 2021, per the elementary schedule for after school hours only. Registration will be online and will require payment through an e-check, debit from a checking or savings account, or by credit card. The district will begin the registration process in January. Please note that SAC will run through June 2021. And for more information, you can visit that link on our website. And that, again, is also in our frequently asked questions, or on our frequently asked questions page. I want to take a moment to share the submitted questions and my responses to them. So the question was, what would the schedule look like, which I have shared what the schedule will look like. For the hybrid schedule, will the students be in school for a full day, or will it be a half day? It will be a half day in person, and dismissal is at 12:30. Will reduced screen time continue to be a driver in designing the schedule? Reduced screen time was one of the considerations made when designing the schedule, and I shared with you a number of other things which were taken into consideration. And how will specials be conducted? Specials will be conducted in the afternoon, virtually, and there will be a rotation of synchronous and asynchronous specials. Give me one moment to see if I have anyone else who needs to get in to our meeting. Okay. So these questions are specific to TAG, as I've gotten a few questions relative to that. So how will TAG be conducted? So the TAG seminar classes, which are the classes in which identified TAG students are in, will take place during the enrichment period and during the afternoon. And I'll be more specific, I'll show you a schedule. There's a question as to why is third grade TAG scheduled during small group time? What happens when there's a conflict with students' small group time and TAG? So small group sessions are designed to meet the needs of students. So as such, TAG serves as a small group session to provide enrichment for identified students. Students may meet with the TAG teacher, an LET teacher, or MET teacher during the small group sessions. Please explain Wednesday afternoon. Why is TAG scheduled during the time that there is no live instruction? So in order to accommodate a total of 8 seminar TAG sessions, we have 1 live TAG session on Wednesday afternoon. And allow me to let someone in. Thank you for your patience. Okay. So when will TAG be put on the schedule? I heard that TAG math for third grade would be on Wednesday at 2, which is after our school hours. By the way, when would TAG literacy for the third grade be scheduled? And so I have here a copy of the TAG schedule. So let me share that with you now. And so again, this is the schedule which I shared with you for the hybrid model. And so if you would turn your attention to where it says enrichment break, that's a time period between 11:15 and 11:45. Ms. Norris and Ms. Richardson's class will have math tag enrichment. Mr. Griffin and Ms. Rue's class will have math enrichment. Mr. Griffin and Ms. Rue's class will have literacy enrichment on Wednesday. Let me pull that up so you can see the days. There we go. And on Thursday, during that time frame, Ms. Norris and Ms. Richardson's class will have literacy enrichment. On Fridays, that's an opportunity for makeup sessions or extra help. We scroll down to the 1:40 to 2:20 time period. Ms. Warren Gibbons and Ms. Brown's class will have literacy enrichment on Mondays. On Tuesdays, Ms. Warren Gibbons and Ms. Brown's class will have math enrichment on those days. On Wednesdays, Ms. Nunez and Ms. Thomas's math class, will have math enrichment on that day. On Thursdays, Ms. Nunez and Ms. Thomas's classes will have literacy enrichment on Thursday. And then on Friday, there will be a makeup session or extra help session, if you will, with Ms. Hawthorne. Sure here, we don't have any more people there. Okay. So, are there some teachers that have said they are not coming back for in-person learning? Will the parents be notified in advance if there are any teachers that are not returning? So this information is shared with Human Resources. To date, I have not received notice of any staff members who are not returning in person. If that changes, I will notify families as soon as I'm able to do so. Can the closure end of day meeting happen at the end of core instruction, right before lunch? Teachers will be providing closure. I will follow up with teachers regarding the timing. The next question is the same or similar. Can the dismissal be at 2 on the days the kids are not in their small groups? It does not make sense for them to come back at 2:45 to do a go noodle to close out the day. And my response is the same. Will the whole class be learning together at the same time, meaning cohort A in person and cohort B remotely? If yes, how will the teacher be able to effectively teach if they have kids both in the physical classroom and kids online at the same time? That is not an easy task for anyone. Absolutely. We certainly acknowledge that it is no easy task, that it is truly one of the greatest challenges of hybrid learning. And so this endeavor will require a lot of support for my teachers, as this is certainly a new way of teaching. And our staff have been receiving professional development in preparation for this model. They will continue to receive professional development and ongoing support from me and district administration. And as you know, my teachers are incredible and are willing to work together to tackle this new endeavor, but by far it is no easy task. And so there was a question about what the math manipulative kits contained. Give me one moment. I think I hear someone else who entered the meeting or is attempting to enter the meeting. We are good to go. Okay.
Your sound is very awful. Can you fix it? It's breaking up a lot.
Yeah, it's too laggy.
Well, I apologize about that. It must be my connection.
Yeah, so we're not really hearing the answer.
Okay, can you hear me better now?
Yeah, we can hear you now, but we missed that whole last thing you said about are the kids learning cohesively with remote and in person. That whole conversation you had, we all missed it.
Sure, I'll go back, not a problem. Thank you for that, I appreciate that. All right, so the question again was how will students be able to learn, the whole class be able to learn, if you will, and how will the teacher manage this hybrid model, because you'll have some students who are in person as well as some students who are learning remotely at the same time. And so what I said was that this is truly a great challenge. It's one of the greatest challenges of hybrid learning. And I said that it's truly no easy endeavor, and it will require a lot of support for my teachers, as this is certainly a new way of teaching. So our staff, they have been receiving a great deal of professional development in preparation for this model, and that professional development will continue, and there will be ongoing support from me as well as the district administration, curriculum and instruction and the like. And as you know, as I mentioned, my teachers are incredible, and they're certainly willing to work together to tackle this new endeavor. And so, as I said, it's no easy feat for anyone, but we're certainly willing to work through this process. So there was a question about what are the math manipulative kits and what do they contain? And so just as an aside, or along with this, if you will, I have rescheduled the distribution given the inclement weather for next Tuesday. So grades K through 2 with plastic storage bins, they're base 10 blocks, they're color tiles, pattern blocks, geared clock, snap cubes, 2 dice, 1 deck of cards, and 1 ruler. And those are all manipulatives which will be utilized, you know, both virtually and in person. In terms of what is in the 3rd grade to 5th grade bin, you have fraction circles, you have Cuisenaire rods, you have base 10 blocks, color tiles, pattern blocks, dice, deck of cards, ruler, a protractor, and rainbow fraction tiles. And so at this moment, I will certainly take any questions at this time or any comments at this time before we move forward. So if you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand.
So I have a question. So why is tag broken up into eight classes? Wouldn't it be better if it's broken up into 4 classes? So there's 2 for the 3rd grade, 1 for literacy, 1 for math, and then 2 for 4th grade, 1 for what? Just let me finish. This is Joy, and I'm a 3rd grade mom who has 2 kids in tag. So there should be, I would think, better for 4 classes in total. 2 for 3rd grade, 1 for literacy, 1 for math, and then 2 for 4th grade, 1 for literacy, 1 for math, as opposed to 8. And then that way, there may not be 1 for Wednesday for after hours.
So the reason there aren't 4 sessions as opposed to 8 sessions is because, one second, I want to make sure that you can. You know what I'm going to do? I am going to change my location because I want to make sure that everyone can hear me properly. Give me one moment to do that. Okay, is this a little better?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So sorry about that. Okay, so the reason that the tag sessions are 8 as opposed to 4 sessions is because it's required to have, we want to have smaller groups. And so in some cases, as you see, there are combinations. You have 2 classes, if you will, but generally speaking, we don't want large groups of students in an enrichment period. It isn't conducive. And so it's just simply because you don't want a large group of students. And so you want to reduce that number so that there are smaller groups. Let me go into the chat box to see if there are any additional questions. Sorry about that. I didn't see that about the connection because I was presenting the PowerPoint, so I apologize. And as I mentioned, the PowerPoint will be posted, but again, I do apologize for the sound. I didn't see that. Okay, so the question was, why do kids need a device for in-person learning, and must it be a district computer or can it be any device? So students will still be utilizing, technological resources. We certainly have amassed a number of technological resources. And in addition to that, students will still be able to go into small groups with their peers who are learning remotely as well. And in order to be able to do that, they'll have to log into the Google Meet to do that. And it does not have to be a district computer. It can be any device. Mr. Linschool, you said you had a question, sir?
Hi, thanks for all this information, and I appreciate all your efforts on behalf of our students. My question is, have the classrooms been equipped with the technology needed for teaching remote and in-person simultaneously? I'm thinking, maybe a camera for the classroom that can capture what's going on for the remote learners, and other new technology might be necessary. Have there been upgrades for technology for the classroom along these lines?
Yes, so our teachers will be receiving. Some have already received, but our teachers will all be receiving hover cams. And so those hover cams are designed to make it easier for teachers to engage in in-person learning as well as virtual learning simultaneously. So teachers have been trained on the use of the hover cams as well. So to answer your question, yes, the district has, purchased those items, and the teachers will be able to utilize that. Let me come back up. I think Mrs. Robinson, you had a question. I see a hand up, and then I see some questions in the chat. Mrs. Robinson?
Yes, I just wanted to ask about the whole purpose of the TAG program, because I know I've heard at the Board of Ed meetings that the purpose of the new schedule was to give the children additional support, since a lot of parents are concerned the children are falling behind. So if that's being the case, why are we even using the TAG system with elementary kids? Because don't you think we should just be using, the kids should just be in class with their teacher, getting the basic foundation of the core versus being pulled out for all this other stuff?
Well, the importance of the TAG program is to be able to address the needs of all kids, right? And so, whereas we have programs to address language acquisition needs and other kinds of needs, we certainly continue or maintain a program for students who need additional enrichment. And so, in terms of equity and fairness and being able to address the needs of individual students, that's why the program still exists. And we have many parents who, appreciate the program at the elementary school level. Now, there are some, there will be, I'm not sure if you heard at board meetings and such, I know Dr. Irving has stated this, that the TAG program will be going through our revamping, if you will. And so there will be changes that are brought about to the actual program, and that's K through 8. And so not K through, excuse me, but elementary school through 8th grade. And so that said, there will be changes coming to the district. But again, it's a matter of just addressing the needs of individual students.
But TAG is for talented and gifted. So that's not really kids needing additional support. That's for kids who are a little bit above, I thought. Isn't that the purpose of TAG?
Yes, but they need enrichment. They need enrichment. And so whereas it may be viewed as they don't need anything, children who are identified as being gifted, if you will, they need things as well. So, it just depends on, so when a district is supporting students through a response to intervention model, like for example, if students are receiving math enrichment services because they need refinement in their math skills, if you will, we provide that in our district, but we also provide TAG to support those students who have other needs, and we need to support that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, Ms. Robinson. Will the daily wellness form be available on the phone or in person? So the daily wellness form will be available on the school's website. You will be able to access it in that way. There will also be emails sent to your email if in fact, email address rather, if in fact you didn't fill out the form, as a reminder to complete the form as well. Okay, will school, when school dismisses at 12:30, do the kids need to go home and log on virtually and then finish the day? Yeah, so when school dismisses, students would go home, they'll have time to eat lunch, and then, yes, they will, in some instances, they will be logging on virtually again, depending on whether or not they have a small group that day, or depending upon whether or not they have asynchronous learning or synchronous learning that afternoon. It depends on the day. Because K is just one class, is it not an option for the class to go back all day, 4 days with the Wednesday off? No, it's been determined that kindergarten will be on the hybrid model as well. Okay, and I answered that question. Okay, what if someone chooses all virtual? What is the schedule? Will it be posted? It's the same schedule, except there will be opportunities for where you see break, there will be a break, but it is the same schedule. I have a question. How have these changes had a positive impact on the academic absorption of the children? And is there data being captured, reviewed to understand if this is having a positive impact? So, we're always looking to take data in terms of formative assessments, doing formative assessments, and doing summative assessments. So what that means is formative assessments are daily assessments that teachers are doing to identify areas of deficiency or to identify where students are meeting expectations. So that's done on a daily basis. In terms of longitudinal, you have those summative assessments. So you have benchmark assessments, which are done to identify specifically how our students are performing academically. Okay. I don't see any more hands at the moment. Mr. Cox, is there anything that you want to share? I do have some additional information. Oh, 1 second. I'm sorry. I do have questions. Are there still offering lunch social skills groups virtually? So, Miss, in terms of social skills groups, I'm not sure if you're talking about Miss Brantley's groups or you're talking about Miss Nagangas's groups. But Miss Brantley's groups, she's not holding groups per se right now, but she is doing push-ins into classrooms to support students in terms of social emotional learning, and she's working alongside Mrs. Rosegren, our librarian. Will therapies be held virtually or in person? That is a question. Mr. Levine, are you online with us? My understanding is that they'll be in person, but I want to clarify that. I want to make sure that I'm clear. So let me touch base regarding that with Mr. Levine just to confirm that. Okay. What will homework look like? Oh, is the sound cutting in and out again? Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me change my
the sound is coming in and out. It is occurring when you're getting further away from your laptop because you're getting reverberation between the speaker that's at the bottom of your laptop on whatever surface you're setting it on and you talking. So if you get closer, the sound has to travel a shorter distance and you don't get that reverberation.
Well, I'm close. I can tell you, I'm peering down into the laptop. So give me 1 moment. Let me try to put it on a flatter surface. Give me 1 moment.
Excuse me, I think it's because she is connected 2 times into 2 different, Miss Pitt is connected to 2 different lines. I'm not sure if it's by, because I see it.
And she's still trying to present. So she's sending a lot of information over her internet connection. So that may be the case as well. We'll remind her when she comes back.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is that any better?
A little bit. Miss Pitt, do you have 2 devices?
I do have another device, yes, but this device works better than the other device.
No. I was just saying, now that you don't have to present, maybe if you log out of the other device that was connected to the meeting, that may help because you're not getting a dual.
Or just mute it.
I don't have another device up right now at the moment is what I'm saying. I'm only using one device. Yep,
okay.
You got it. I'm only using one. Let me log out of the meet and come back. 1 moment.
Mr. Cox, was there an answer regarding the therapies in person or virtual?
when Miss Pitt was saying she was looking for Mr. Riley Levine to get confirmation, she was unsure. I'm not sure if Mr. Riley Levine is still on the line with us.
I
But
am.
okay. Mr.
I
Riley
am,
Levine?
Mr. Cox. I didn't want to interrupt while everyone was talking about it. So it really depends. What we're trying to do is keep the related services as close to the schedule that the students have as possible. So if they are receiving services while they are in person, the service providers will provide it while they are there. However, if they do have services in the afternoon, that will likely be virtual. But I am working out with the related service providers that if they can do it on a rotational basis, perhaps then not all students that have afternoon sessions would always remain virtual, and then they could see them, in person when they're in the building in the mornings. If a student is in only during the morning. The other component we've been talking about is to really mitigate, and because of contact tracing, we're trying to prevent students from going from class to class or a speech therapist from going from class to class. So we may have to, even if we're in person, look to have some sessions virtual just on a rotational basis, just for the health and safety of all students. Did that answer your
Thank you
question,
for
Ms.
that.
Yepes?
Thank you. That made sense. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you. No, Mrs. Marsh had that question. Okay, so I logged out. I'm hoping that you can hear me better now.
Much better.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Excellent. All right. So wonderful. So the only problem is that there were questions which were in the chat after the question about therapies, which I did not see, but I did see the questions. I think there was a question about who Ms. Nagengast is. Ms. Nagengast is our school psychologist. Ms. Santa Maria, did you happen to see any of the other questions?
There was a question about why temperatures would not be taken on the bus, why parents would have to take them. There's a question about what the homework will look like since the kids are spending so much time on the computer. There's another question about enrichment for 3rd grade.
Okay, so the question about the temperature checks, the district has decided that the parents should, in fact, take the temperatures and complete the form because it's a part of the questionnaire on the form, whether or not the child has a temperature that particular morning. The second question about homework and whether or not homework can be
add to that, Ms. Pitt?
Sure, Mr. Cox.
Yes, and in addition to that, as a part of the utilizing the wellness checker, our Qualtrics system, there will also be random checks to, no pun intended, to get the temperature of every building in the district. So there'll be random temperature checks of students and staff throughout the day by a dedicated staff member, just to make sure we know no one is, maybe they were feeling okay at the beginning, and then, maybe they have a temperature around 10 o'clock.
Thank you for that, Mr. Cox. There was a question about homework. Can you read the question for me, Ms. Santa Maria?
What will homework look like? The kids spend so much time on the computer. I think it would be beneficial to have less homework at night. And can we decrease the amount of homework?
So that's a conversation. Just let me know the individual, the parent who jotted that down, because that's a conversation that we'd have to have specifically. I can't speak to that in general. Homework varies from class to class, so I can't make a general statement about that. So that would be more of a one-on-one, discussion. And the other question, Ms. Santa Maria, you noted?
The enrichment, there's a parent has a question about enrichment, about 3rd graders having enrichment class, and what is the goal for enrichment class?
The goal, as I previously mentioned, in terms of the TAG class is to support students who have been identified as gifted. So again, when we're talking about equity, we want to give children what they need. So if they need literacy support, then that's what we provide. If they need enrichment, then that is what we provide. If they need speech services, that is what we provide. Whatever that may be, we provide. So it's along the continuum, whether or not students need remediation, or whether or not students need enrichment, or anywhere in between that continuum. Okay. All right. So I thank everyone for their questions. You are always welcome, as you know, to email me at any time. The answers, these questions and the answers to these questions will be posted on our frequently asked questions page as well on our website, so you can refer to that. In addition to that, the PowerPoint will be posted, but there are a few things that I would like to share with you before we depart. So I will share my screen again. I want to send a public congratulations here to Jennifer Dominguez, who was nominated as our Governor's Teacher of the Year. So she will be representing Hawthorne as the Governor's Teacher of the Year. So congratulations to Ms. Dominguez. For those of you whose children have had Ms. Dominguez, you know how outstanding Ms. Dominguez is, caring, nurturing, dedicated, all of the above. And congratulations to Ms. Stephanie McKee, who was recognized as our Educational Support Professional of the Year. For those of you who work with Ms. McKee, you know how remarkable Ms. McKee is, and patient, and you know, willing to really get the best out of our kids. So we appreciate them, and I wanted to announce that here. And lastly, congratulations to all of us, as we were able to raise $750 for Hawthorne Cares. Thank you so much to Miss Elizabeth Vasquez for partnering, for having a PTA partner with Hawthorne School to get this done. And we'll be able to provide gift cards for 25 of our students. So thank you so much for spreading that holiday cheer. And lastly, I just want to say stay safe and healthy and truly enjoy the winter break. And again, if you have any questions, yes, congratulations to them. If you have any questions for me, please, 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 please feel free to email me. If you would like to speak, you certainly can speak as well. And again, this information will be added to our frequently asked questions. The PowerPoint will be added as well. And in addition to that, I'll be sending out a link which has the form, the registration form for you to complete if you would like your child to remain virtual through MP3. So I will be sending that link shortly. Thank everyone, and I appreciate you all for being here. Have a good evening.
Thank you.